Top 10 college baseball matchup concludes today with a series finale from Baum-Walker Stadium in Fayetteville on a beautiful day for a bowl game. The 10th-ranked Arkansas Razorbacks go for a series sweep over the second-ranked Mississippi State Bulldogs. Alongside former Arkansas All-American Troy Eklund, I'm Brett Dolan, delighted to have you with us. This series started back on Thursday. What a pitcher's duel. Arkansas won the game by a score of 5-3, and last night, Troy, it was a 12-5 Arkansas win, and it's a real tough game to even describe how that one went down.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly for the Bulldogs. We talked about how many walks they had. I think with 15 total, 15, 16 walks they had, and it was a tough performance, but they're a talented team, and we expect them to bounce back. But a great series victory for Arkansas and a chance for the sweep.
So for Mississippi State today at 32-8, they're going to go up against Connor Nolan. He started midweek after lasting just 15 pitches last weekend at Vanderbilt. He has to go back in that rotation because Cody Scroggins isn't even on the roster this weekend.
I think Scroggins has a little bit of arm soreness, and that's why you're seeing him get a weekend off. Nolan pitched on Tuesday and threw very well against UAPB. So Arkansas expects him to hopefully give them at least 4 solid innings. If they could get 5 or 6 out of him, that would be a bonus.
So Connor 1-2, an earned run average of more than 5.5, 5.60. The lineup he will face today for Mississippi State: Jack Mangum right back in that leadoff spot in center. Then it's Westberg, the shortstop, batting second. Tanner Allen at first base. It's third. Cleanup hitter Elijah McNamee in right. Justin Foscue at second base. Hit a big home run yesterday, his 11th of the season. Rowdy Jordan in left, bats in the 6th hole. Dustin Skelton will catch and bat 7th. Josh Hatcher, the DH, bats 8th. And Gunnar Holter at third base will hit 9th. Troy, what's the mindset for the Bulldogs today? This team came in second ranked in the country. They certainly don't want to leave here losing all 3.
Well, I think you have to relax and not press, but they've got some veterans on this ball club. I think they're going to be fine. That's one thing about baseball. If you're really, really good, you're successful 3 out of 10 times. It means you're failing 7 times at the plate. So you have to kind of take that same mental approach to this ball game.
Maybe the best weather day of the season. As game 3 is underway, Mangum rolls one up the middle. Martin showing off some range. 1 pitch, 1 out as Mangum is retired.
Really nice for Connor Nolan to come out of the chute and get a 1 pitch out. Kind of see what he does as far as pitch count today, Brett.
Through a couple of innings against UAPB. Got his first win in college baseball. Here's Jordan Westberg, the shortstop. Westberg batting .351, 6 homers, 42 batted in. It is the Mississippi State team that has seen their batting average drop several points. Again, they began this weekend leading the league in almost every offensive category. Good pitch from Nolan.
Connor will sit at that 88 to 91, 92 at that fastball. Well, let's see some good sink down and in against right-handed batters. And a really big overhand curve that he possesses as well.
Drilled to center. And the first base hit belongs to Jordan Westberg.
Now batting the first baseman, number 5, Tanner Allen.
Nice job by Westberg, taking that ball right back up through the middle. He's really seen the ball big this season. Came into this ball game hitting .351. That'll let that average tick up just a hair.
Tanner Allen, the first baseman, in. .290 average, 6 home runs. In the dirt, knocked down by Opitz, who caught all 4 hours worth of the game yesterday. And he pointed out in our post-game interview that he had that 15-inning game, part of a doubleheader against Auburn. So yesterday's 4 innings, or 4 hours, I should say, nothing compared to what he did.
It's just a walk in the park, isn't it?
Of course, he was also busy with 3 hits, drove in 3 runs. Pitch had some sink and fell at the plate by Allen.
You kind of wonder if Mississippi State's going to try to start some runners, maybe hitting and run. Really don't like to do that with 1 out. and maybe some straight steals. Westberg at first base is 4-4 on the season. And as a team, Mississippi State is 47 of 60 in stolen base attempts. That's what Connor Nolan's thinking right there. Let's keep him close. Keep that double play in order.
For Nolan, so used to starting the second game of an SEC series, but even though he's in there in game 3 today, it's still a Saturday. So it probably is a very similar feel other than those 2 innings he threw on Tuesday night.
I think those 2 innings on Tuesday night was going to get his feet wet again from the scuffle that he had on the road in the previous series in Vanderbilt. So he only threw about, 14, 15 pitches in that Vanderbilt game. Pretty quick move to first base. Westberg barely got back in.
You know, in a game where Nolan only throws 15 pitches, and Vanderbilt scored 7 runs in the first before an out was recorded, you might be thinking, well, you know, you had that tendency to let him go a little bit deeper. That one nearly hit our second base umpire, Tony Walsh, into center. Westberg will turn and go to third as Fletcher plays it back in, and there's Bulldogs on the corners.
That ball was really softly hit. I think off the bat, Fletcher thought he had a chance to get the runner at third base, but by the time he got to the baseball, the runner was already about halfway to third base. Watch how long it takes Fletcher to get to that baseball, and right there he realizes, nope, I don't have a chance. Let's eat that one and keep the double play in order.
Bulldogs would like to get on the board first, and here is Elijah McNamee. McNamee homered in the 9th inning on Thursday against the closer Matt Cronin. His 6th of the season. And a .345 batting average. You know, to finish the thought on Nolan, you might be saying, well, that was a bit of a quick hook after 15 pitches against Vanderbilt. The inning was ugly. The game was as well for Arkansas. Dave Van Horn after the game said, hey, he hasn't proven to us yet that he can get out of jams and keep games from ballooning, and that was one of the reasons why he went to the pen so early in Nashville.
Yeah, I think he's right. Nolan's been pretty solid for that 4 2/3 innings, but after that point, it's been a little bit of a struggle.
Ran inside to McNamee, nearly hit him.
Thing that Razorback fans have to always remember is not only is he a freshman, but he's also a guy that's splitting his time with football. So for him to be able to do what he's done so far to this point, it's been quite a feat.
Nolan paying some attention to these base runners here in the top of the first. So Mangum was retired on the first pitch, but singles by Westberg and Allen. McNamee was fooled on that swing.
A really good breaking ball by Nolan right there. That was a hitter setting dead fastball and got something off speed.
Ground ball cheeseburger.
Give you the defense as well for the Razorbacks. Nesbitt, Martin, Kenley, and Ezell around the diamond. So Kenley at second base, Trevor Ezell back at first. That's different. But also Goodhart in right field with no Kerstad today. He was ejected arguing balls and strikes yesterday. And McNamee down on strikes, a big K for Connor Nolan.
Boy, it really was, and he went back to the hook. That was a good depth on that breaking ball. Nolan gets on top of that curve and yanks it straight down. Some good late life.
But with no Kerstad today, it is a different looking defensive alignment than we're used to seeing for Arkansas.
It really is. And the question is how's Goodhart going to perform out there in right field? We've got an exceptional left fielder in Franklin, and Fletcher's one of the best in the country in center field, can really go get it. Matt might have a little bit of better speed than Heston, so he might be able to get to a few more balls. And the wind is not nearly as strong as it has been the last couple games, so that'll probably also be an advantage for Goodhart out there in right.
Bright sunny day, but not much from the wind standpoint. And Nolan rolls in the breaking ball to Justin Foscue.
If you're going to throw a get-me-over curve, it's better to do it on the outer third. You're really not going to get hurt out there like you would if you hang that one right over the dish.
See that flag barely moving in right field. Last couple of nights, been a bit of a factor. Although Foskew's home run was a deep shot to left. Came in the 5th inning last night. Ball in the dirt, the throw down to second base. Safe as Allen. Under the tag of Kenley. The ball was there in plenty of time. Kenley was in front of the base and apparently missed the sliding base runner.
Let's see if Kenley tries to go out in front and catch that ball, not let it travel.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. That's just a great slide. But I think that's what caused Kenley. If you stay more on the base and let that ball come to you instead of you trying to go get it, I don't think it was going to be a short hop. That allows you to get that tag down a little quicker.
You got to find a way to make that play. Instead of the inning being over, a base hit would score 2.
Yeah, that could be critical for Arkansas right here.
Foskew's home run yesterday, Troy, again in the 5th inning. An appeal, but no swing, says Ray Gregson at first. It was a 7-5 game, and it looked very early it was going to be all Arkansas. It finished that way, but that home run in the middle innings changed the contest for about an hour.
Yeah, really took the crowd out of the game there for a little bit. Some fans were definitely chewing on those fingernails.
Hit in the air towards Fletcher. He's got a play, and the inning ends. So a couple of base hits, and the Bulldogs strand 2 men in scoring position. As we go to the bottom of the 1st, the Razorbacks coming into bat. It is a packed crowd today at Baum-Walker Stadium on a beautiful sunny Saturday afternoon for baseball. Troy, there were nearly 10,000 here last night, and might blow past that number today.
It sure looks like it. The hog pen is jammed out there. When you know you've got quite a few bodies on the back set of bleachers along the street out there, it's a big crowd.
Hog pen is loaded, and then there's a lot of people out there as well.
A little bit of both, right?
SEC baseball at its finest with the top 10 matchup today. And I'm excited to take a look at JT Ginn. He was a prep star and select ball superstar, and bypassed a first-round opportunity to go to the Dodgers to pitch at Mississippi State.
Boy, that's tough. It's turning down a lot of dollars.
$2.4 million was the slot value.
Whew. Home plate umpire Michael Banks said, you need to get that rosin bag put behind the mound so the hitters can't see it. You don't have any kind of distraction out there, and it's well behind that bump.
Trevor Ezell leads off. His batting average fell below 300 yesterday, but being a good leadoff hitter on an 0-for-3 night. He also walked 3 times and scored 3 runs.
That's big. That's what it's up to. So Ginn's going to be 91 to 95 with that fastball. He'll have a slider and a curve. Kind of rarely throws the changeup and loves to go to that slider with 2 strikes. That is his out pitch. Throws it a lot of times down out of the zone and gets hitters to chase.
He's had some forearm issues that impacted him a couple of weeks ago. He pitched a limited number of innings against LSU, not that long back. And even though he's pitching in Game 3 today, it could have him be ready for Game 2, back to that middle game of a series next weekend.
Yeah, he's got electric stuff, and Ezell saw it right there.
Ben McDonald provided a scouting report on JT Ginn a couple of weeks ago for a televised game. He called it a bowling ball sinker and a wipeout slider. Our plate umpire, Michael Banks, walked around the plate and pointed out to Ginn.
I'm not sure what that motion was. Looks like it was...
Took too much time. He ran the shot clock out.
20 seconds in between pitches is all you get from the time the ball hits the catcher's mitt until you're ready to go. It's already down to 10.
That was a chastising he got from Michael Banks.
Man, he just lit him up, didn't he?
in the air down the left field line. Jordan pursuing on the track, and he'll make the catch. So defensively for the Bulldogs, Jordan in left, Mangum in center, McNamee in right. And around their infield, it's Halter, Westberg, Foscue, and Allen. Skelton catching JT Ginn. Casey Martin about him. Martin had a grand slam yesterday in the second inning that made it 5-0 Arkansas. He would finish 2 for 3. He would walk 3 times and score 3 runs. Martin said before the game today he knew when he hit it he was going to have a grand slam, but for Casey it was so unusual to see him hit a ball a little bit to the right of the batter's eye and that high to right center. He is a low line drive pull hitter.
Yeah, that's the pitch right there that Martin has normally been able to lay off the last few games. And talking to Nate Thompson, he said, well, that allows you to get a better pitch if you can lay off that breaking ball out of the zone. And they're going to eventually have to come back in the zone.
2-strike pitch, and that one got a piece of Skelton, who took a beating yesterday, both in foul balls, and then he was hit by Kevin Copps. And our plate umpire Michael Banks trying to attend to Skelton before the trainer and Chris Lemonis.
Well, that does not look good. Skelton, let's see where this ball hits him. Right off the shoulder.
The one area there's not much protection.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Sometimes you'll see some of those big league catchers have almost kind of like a little extension, almost like a mini shoulder pad to protect that front of the shoulder. And boy, he's in some pain.
Last night we talked about how tough he is and the beating he took, and he was the other guy catching 4 hours. And let's face it, Opitz was out there a long time, but a bulk of those 4 hours were with Skelton behind the plate as his pitchers walked 16. He took a hard foul ball, again hit by a pitch. And this one magnifies the injury concerns even more for Coach Lemonis and State.
Boy, you just hate to see anybody go down, and what a good kid, and just you hope he's okay, but boy, it's sure taken a long time to try to see if he has what that range of motion is going to be like in that throwing shoulder.
It's hard to get up and just see if you're okay when that ball took such a chunk out of him.
And that's the key. It's the throwing shoulder. Really surprised that Ginn hasn't started playing a little bit of catch with somebody.
Troy, this is going to be tough for Skelton to continue, and he's trying to power through as best he can.
Well, you can tell that's one tough kid.
I mean, you got to believe just raising that arm brings that sweat down your back and makes your stomach a bit queasy. And Skelton's going to stay in.
Wow.
See if he can throw this baseball back to the mound. This is more for Skelton's benefit than it is for Ginn.
Now you wonder what that does for Arkansas. Are you more aggressive on the base pass when you know you've got a guy that's taking a blow?
Might try it. They could get base runners on against Ginn.
Got to love the crowd's response to Skelton staying in the ball game.
Speaking of the crowd, how about their reaction when Kane and Sandy, the #1 Razorback fan, threw out the first pitch before the game here at Baum Walker?
Oh, that was electric. And tell you what, Kane and Sandy, he's got some flair, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
he was milking that off for all it's worth.
Yeah, he enjoys it. We're back to action. 0-2 to Martin. Martin has his average up to 292. That is as high as it has been in quite some time. Home run last night is 8th.
Again, loves to throw that slider down and away. Let's see if he can't make a pitch that he's happy with.
Fastball 94, but elevated. He gets the wave of the miss. Now
Yeah.
Skelton's going to have to throw to first.
That was the setup right there. He went back-to-back fastballs up, and then that slider down and away. Slider, slurve. That's one heck of a wipeout pitch.
And again, this guy was taken with the 30th overall pick by the Dodgers. Did not sign. As you see this pitch again, bottom dropped out on it to Martin. Matt Goodhart, second in the league in batting average, and just like that, that's another base hit. He was at 396 and a sharp single into center.
Now batting for the
Boy, this kid
Rangers,
just
the center
keeps
fielder,
on hitting.
Number 24, Dominic Fletcher.
Seeing the ball big, doesn't try to do too much with that swing.
McGinn is facing an Arkansas team that has scored 47 runs in their last 4 games. Two of those against State and another one of those contests against Vanderbilt.
Well, the other thing Ginn likes to do is start off. He loves to lead with that fastball, and if he does throw it, it's on the outer third.
Dominic Fletcher, the batter. Sends one foul towards the right field corner.
Fletcher got something off speed and just couldn't keep it fair.
A couple of home runs for Fletcher this week. Just missed one late last night. 6 on the season. Lifted towards right center. This ball starts to carry. Mangum with the sliding grab as he bangs into the wall and holds on.
That was an amazing play by Jake Mangum. That's great speed and a great read off the bat.
He knew he was going to take a shot into the fence, but made the catch to save a run and keep this game scoreless as we go to the second. Zeros on the board as we go to the second. Mississippi State, they can thank Jake Mangum for that outstanding catch to save a run in the bottom of the first.
Boy, that was a dandy. Definitely a highlight reel type play. Better get that one back in the studio.
Here's Rowdy Jordan. Jordan homered against Isaiah Campbell on Thursday night, facing Connor Nolan here in game 3. 268 average, 3 home runs for Jordan. Bulldogs had just 5 hits last night. Glove by Ezel. Flips to Nolan. Connor may have been surprised by that toss, but he makes the play.
Ezel could have easily taken that himself and decided, I'll just let Connor get involved in this play a little bit.
The catcher, number 8.
Thought maybe there was a bobble at first from Connor. See if we can tell from this angle. 2 handicap.
Yeah, I just made sure.
Here's Dustin Skelton.
Like a tight end going over the middle.
Usually he's on the one throwing, not catching. Skelton made contact with that ball in the box. Boy, Michael Banks, he's can control behind the plate.
He really is, and you don't have to wonder what he's thinking. He will let you know with motions and comments. I saw him in between innings even telling Connor Nolan, he said, you only have 2 warm-up pitches left. And he spun around, looked at the Mississippi State dugout, put a big number 2 up there. Only 2 more. Even on warm-up pitches, he's all over it.
Curious to see Skelton turn this bat loose. Remember, he had the foul ball off his throwing shoulder. And took a couple of minutes before he was able to shake out the sting. Nolan cars him up for the second out.
Boy, really good pitch right there by Connor Nolan. Almost kind of looks more like a slider or a cutter. His curveball's more has a little kind of loop in it, a little more 12-6 action from top to bottom, and that one's kind of down and away.
Josh Hatcher is the DH. 321 average, no home runs. Nolan working with more tempo now. Quickly ahead, 0-2. And again, no Cody Scroggins even on the roster this weekend. He's been starting game 3. Nolan starting today. He just missed.
A really good looking pitch right there. And Casey Opitz, Arkansas catcher, tried to steal one for Connor.
And Nolan gets the wave of the miss, and the strikeout completed with a throw to first. A perfect second for Nolan with a couple of strikeouts. Inning and a half complete. 0-0 game, the Dogs and the Hogs from Baumwalker. You can almost smell the barbecues and the tailgating today, can't you, from the press box?
And I'd love to smell some of that. Tell you what, there's probably some good things brewing. There was in the parking lot, I'll tell you.
Saturday afternoon at Baumwalker Stadium. Those are some good-looking overalls. And here's Jack Kenley to lead off. Yesterday, in the first 7 innings of the game, Arkansas had their leadoff runner on base every single frame. Kenley will be retired by Foscue on a leaping catch. That's back-to-back big-time plays by the Bulldogs to end the first and start the second.
Well, you're exactly right. Off the air, we talked about what a big play that was for Jake Mangum. And right there, just to keep that leadoff man on, Foscue had timed his jump perfectly. I'm telling you, that was a double to the gap. And for Arkansas, you know, they want to keep that pressure on the Bulldogs. And for Mississippi State, you just don't want to get behind and feel like you have to kind of scratch back a comeback.
Jordan McFarland getting the start as the DH. 38 at-bats on the season. 184 average. Couple of base hits when he got the start Tuesday at first against UAPB. Maybe the beneficiary of Kerstad not being available to play today, and he rolls one into center for a base hit.
Good at-bat by Jordan McFarland. Even though he's kind of scuffled his junior year right here, he's really not expanded the strike zone. Does a good job of taking that ball right back through the box. And for a guy that's 6'3", he handles balls down in the strike zone very well.
We'd love to get that hit first at bat. Play with the house's money, especially against an outstanding young pitcher like Ginn. And here's the switch hitting catcher Casey Opitz. His average on the rise all the way up to 250. 3 hits, 3 RBIs last night. Sent foul. To give McFarland maybe the beneficiary of Kerstad not being available today. He was ejected after arguing balls and strikes in the 7th inning last night. There's all kinds of technology available now, and apparently that pitch missed by nearly a foot.
Yeah, that wasn't close.
And Coach Van Horn was asked about that in his press conference. And if you know Dave, you've heard him talk at all, he's nothing if not forthright. But he can say a lot even when he's trying not to. And, you know, he was not necessarily enamored with how late the strike 3 call came. And then as he mentioned, he said, you know, Heston's probably as mild-mannered of a guy as we have. Polite, a man of few words. And
just snapped last night, didn't he?
You know, Dave tried to get out there as best he could, but the punishment in college baseball is you miss the next game. I think the good thing for Arkansas, for the Razorbacks, they won the first 2 games. They're not in the same situation they were last week when they had lost the first 2 to Vanderbilt. Foscue, one play, throws at Opitz.
I think there for a split second when McFarland had to jump that baseball, I think that really slowed down Jordan getting to second base. Watch right here, Brad, and tell me if you don't think that when that ball's fielded, he might be able to spin and get McFarland. McFarland was only about 2/3 of the way there.
I wondered about the throwing angle or lane to second base.
It was tough.
Redshirt freshman third baseman Jacob Nesbitt. Batting with 2 outs and McFarland at second. Nesbitt's line last night maybe epitomized what type of game it was. Batting 7th, he hit 5 times, walked twice, reached on an air, had 1 single, scored a couple of runs, and he walked with the bases loaded for an RBI.
Yeah,
a lot going on.
It was not pretty. It was just, you're just going to have to call it out the way it was. You think that Mississippi State's going to bounce back today, and that's baseball. It just happens to you. Brett, we talked about it on the broadcast yesterday that it reminds us of the game Arkansas had down in Texas. They'd won the first game. In the second game, I think, 14 walks?
About 4 or 5 hit batters on top of that.
Yeah, it was a mess that day too. So it happens to everyone.
It was a hot mess against the Horns.
No pitch clock for Ginn when a runner's on base.
Punched right to Allen. Bulldogs have flashed some leather through 2 innings to keep the Hogs off the board, and on we go to the 3rd in a 0-0 game. Good ball game here in Fayetteville. Top 10 matchup, Mississippi State and Arkansas in a 0-0 game as we go to the 3rd. Connor Nolan back to work. Here's Gunnar Halter, the 3rd baseman, 9-1-2 due up this inning. Martin got a glove on it. That was not going to be an easy play, and Halter will have the base hit.
The ball had a little bit of top spin on it, and I think on that second bounce, it kind of took off on Martin. Halter runs pretty well, too, so you're right. That was going to be a really difficult play. I think that's the only chance Casey has. There's no chance to kind of get around the baseball and get that momentum going toward first.
Hit number 3 for State. Leadoff runner on. Back to the top of the lineup in Jake Mangum. Mangum's had a couple of hits so far in this series. He's still 5 away from equaling the conference record from Eddie Furness of LSU. May have been some concern, Troy, coming into this series that if Mangum had a big 3 games, he might set the record away from Mississippi, the state. Being Starkville or Pearl that game on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And he's been known to have 4-hit, 5-hit games. So no matter who you cheer for, that's a huge feat to have the most hits in an SEC career. You see so many talented guys that will leave after that junior year. Or take a guy like Andrew Benintendi that leaves after his sophomore year that's draft eligible. But to stay for those 4 years and put up numbers like that, it's something else.
Previous state record was Jeffrey Ray. He had 335 hits back in the mid-2000s. I went up to Jake Gautreau, the hitting coach of State. I saw Jake play a lot in AAA and the PCL, and he's been around a lot of guys, right? Professional, college, big league camps. And I said, do you have a comp? Is there somebody you played with against a big league player that you can compare the skills for Mangum to somebody else? As he chops one to Ezel. How about that hustle? Trying to get down the line but retire. Troy, he could not come up with one. Immediately he said he is so unique. He said, I could be doing this for another 30 years, and I'm not going to have a player like Mangum from the preparation, the intensity, and you see it right there. Just a routine ground ball. He's trying to beat that out.
Yeah, you're right. That was he's got a great skill set, great attitude, and huge work ethic. I think it just shows what Arkansas pitchers have done so far this weekend, and you have to tip your hat to them. Connor Nolan making a great pitch right there to get him to bounce out.
2 for 10 so far in this series, and here's Westberg. But it's a unique skill set because when somebody who played 10 years of pro ball and been around so many different players can't even come up with a name. I mean, you can't even think of another outfielder, another hitter that's similar, and especially when you talk about approach and what he brings to the locker room every day. And I said that has to rub off on this talented sophomore class they have at Mississippi State. And he said, you better believe it. I mean, these young kids, they watch how he goes about his business every single day.
Yeah, you're exactly right. He's a great role model, just a great human being and a good kid. You know, I even think back what what Casey Opitz did last night. It's the game's almost over.
In the air to left. Franklin, though, will make the catch.
Tag right there. Good heads-up play by Mississippi State and Gunnar Halter to tag on that ball. But back to Opitz. You know, the game's almost over. Would have been the last out of the game. He talked about he caught a 4-hour game, and what is he doing? He's backing up first base. The throw's wild, and he catches the ball and runs over and tags the would-be base runner. And, you know, that's just great hustle. And sometimes you have to let your skills and your leadership speak for itself on the field. And tell you what, a lot of these teams have those leaders that just get it done.
Yeah, dead sprint 4 hours into your night. Runner at third now, 2 outs for Tanner Allen. Nobody in the park would have blamed Opitz if he wasn't racing down the line to try and back up an errant throw. Allen singled in the first, trying to put the Dogs in front. Mississippi State's had one lead in this series. It was home run in the 5th of game 1. Arkansas scored 3 in the bottom of the 6th, and they have not trailed since. Three 3-0 now from Nolan to Allen, with McNamee, the cleanup hitter, on deck. Pumps one right in there at 87 on the gun.
Took a little something off that one. Now let's see what Allen does right here. Might come out of his shoes on this swing.
Painted on the outside corner. Good pitch from Nolan.
That's the pitcher's pitch right there. I think it's a good take by Allen. Unless you're sitting on that fastball up and away. And so far, Nolan's been going to that big breaking ball.
See if this one is playable for Franklin. He's not afraid to climb that wall, but that's about 6 rows back in the crowd. Franklin ended the game this year, going up and climbing over that fence to make a catch.
Had to avoid a fan with a glove that went right over the top of the fan's glove, and Franklin caught it. Said he even lost flight of that ball for just a second as it passed over the fan's glove. I tell you what, he's had to battle everybody out there.
That was against Missouri, a series that Arkansas swept.
How about the Tigers? They've really kind of turned things around after that sweep against Arkansas.
No doubt. Nolan on a payoff to Allen. Nice big bounce for Kenley. And the Bulldogs will strand a runner at third base. Pitchers have matched wits so far. 0-0 game through 2.5. Packed house on a beautiful day in Northwest Arkansas. The finale of this 3-game series. Most of the series wrapping up today with Easter tomorrow. One series that'll still take place, Vandy and Alabama. JT Ginn has worked around 2 singles. He'll face Franklin, Ezel, and Martin in the Razorback 3rd inning.
He's giving up some hard hit balls, but right at Bulldog defenders. Dandy play by Mangum to end an inning, and line drive speared by Justin Foscue. That defense for for Mississippi State came in fielding .973.
Big chopper for Halter. Throws in time to retire Franklin.
Now batting for the Razorbacks.
I'm not really sure where Alabama came from in that comment.
Well, I mentioned they were playing tomorrow.
Well, that's it.
Doesn't take me long to lead you astray.
Doesn't take much either.
There's Trevor Ezel, fly to left to the track to begin the bottom of the first against JT Ginn. Turn that lineup over.
Well, unusual, the wind is still blowing out to right field. Normally on cold days when the wind's out of the north, you'll get that flag blown out to right, but when it starts warming up, you usually get that wind blowing in from right field. So it's still going to be some assistance to those left-handed batters.
93.
Wow, that's a little bit of tail, too. That's tough. Just a picture-perfect day today, isn't it?
And after the pitching was a little bit erratic at times yesterday, much better effort on the mound today. And you think again, Troy, here was a guy as a senior in high school a year ago. He was USA Today's Baseball Pitcher of the Year. I mean, that's
big time.
Yes, it is. That's why he was a first-round pick. He ended up being one of just 7 players in the last 6 years to be taken in the first round but not signed. So it's rare. You know, a couple of years ago, Troy, he was on the USA 18U team. It was made up of just incredible players. They went up to Canada, won the competition in September. I'm going to run you through some of the names that were on that team. If you haven't heard of them already, you will in the big leagues for a number of years. Soft dribbler to Westberg. Throw a little bit wide, but Allen keeps his foot in the back. Here we go. Kumar Rocker was on that team. We saw him last weekend. Right? Ethan Hankins, Jared Kalenic, who is now with was traded in Seattle in the Mets deal. Matthew Liberatore, Nolan Gorman, Bryce Turang. All of these guys will be big leaguers for a long time, health permitting, and JT Ginn every bit a part of that team.
Yeah, those guys are some studs. I looked up on the scoreboard, and he threw a fastball down and away for a ball, TV cell, 97. That's lighting it up.
Struck out Casey Martin in the first. Rolled that one in. That's the slider without a lot of hump on it, it looked like. Four straight ground ball outs recorded by Ginn, and head of Martin 0-2.
Those are some big-time breaking balls by Ginn. Tell you what, though, you have to keep focused. Martin's one of those guys that you make him look bad twice, and he'll put one about 400 feet on you.
Struck out both times in against Ginn. That's about as quick of an inning as you can put forth. Through 3. Zeros on the board between the Dogs and the Hawks. Connor Nolan is off their 3 scoreless innings so far as this game heads to the 4th inning. What have you seen out of Connor to this point?
Well, he's really been able to work that breaking ball down in the zone and get ahead of hitters. I think that's the key for Connor. His fastball does have some good sink down and into righties. And just his consistency and his demeanor on the mound, I think this is a really good bounce-back performance from him. He kind of had a good one on Tuesday, but that's what you get. He definitely is mature beyond his years.
Struck out McNamee back in the first. There's the pitch that's looked a little sharper today. For the longest time, Nolan wasn't going 5 innings, maybe not getting a lot of decisions or wins. He picked up the win in 2 innings in the start, and that unusual college baseball rule on Tuesday. Kenley backs up to make the play. And I said to Nolan, you finally got that win, and he said, finally.
Yeah, that's always a big relief for a pitcher, just to get that big W under your belt.
Yeah, get it out of the way. When you're going 4 innings, maybe your pitch count or innings are monitored somewhat. You usually only have one decision you're probably going to be able to get. And that would be a loss.
Yeah, that's right. So far, fairly economical pitch counts for Nolan. I think it'd be really good for Arkansas fans and the staff to see him go at least 5 today. They still have Jacob Kostichak that has not thrown, that hasn't pitched for a couple weeks. Think about guys like Vermillion in the pen.
Foscue lined to center with a couple of runners in scoring position to end the first. A play for Goodhart. filling in for Kerstad today. 2 outs.
I was just looking before that pitch. Nate Thompson was moving Goodhart to his left toward that right field line, probably about 3 or 4 steps. And off the bat, I thought, well, he might have a chance. You see where he's playing well over into right field. He had to go a little ways in the gap, but got over there easily and made the catch.
Two outs for Rowdy Jordan.
Jordan hit a bomb on Thursday night. Guy that can generate a lot of bat speed out of a small frame.
He went down to a knee on that home run against Isaiah Campbell. And on a night where Campbell was as good as maybe we have seen him, Jordan did win that battle. Nolan just missed.
A little bit tighter zone tonight out of Michael Banks. We've seen in the last 2 ball games.
Right at Kenley. Bobbled it a couple of times. Makes the play to end the inning. Another perfect frame. 3 up and 3 down from Connor Nolan. Still looking for the game's first run here today. Lemonis in the dugout behind those shades. What a first year for Coach Lemonis. Troy coming over from Indiana.
Yeah, he was an assistant at Louisville as well, but did a great job at Indiana and got them into postseason play.
Go back last year when Coach Lemonis wasn't here. The first 27 games, Mississippi State was 13-14. This year, they went 24-3. Keep in mind, they finished last year in the College World Series, and I think there were a lot of Razorback fans that felt like Arkansas was going to see Mississippi State in that final series.
I think so. They really got on a roll last season.
They started this year on a roll, and they've run into a couple of losses this weekend, trying to salvage the final game as Goodhart bats against Ginn.
Well, you just think about it, they were the first team in college baseball to get to 30 wins, and that just kind of tells you how that season has gone so far for the Bulldogs.
Goodhart has one of the 2 singles against Ginn, singled in the first. One and 2. Easy play for Halter.
Just a jam job right there by Ginn.
Now batting for the Razorbacks, number 24, Dominic Fletcher.
The one thing we've seen out of Ginn is his ability to spot the pitches where he wants to. Usually likes to lead off lefties with the fastball away. Goes down and into that one.
Everything's hard and heavy coming out of his hand. Fletcher rocketed a ball high and deep to right center back in the first. Carried more than I thought it would, and Mangum made an incredible sliding catch where he banged against the wall to save a run.
That was an outstanding play, and you think about how that would have really turned the tide in this ballgame if that ball gets down.
Just a tremendous effort. Who knows, Fletcher may have ended up on third base. Since then, Arkansas has not had an extra base hit. Down the third base line, fielded by Halter, throwing on the run.
Wow.
What a big time play.
That is something else. That is big league right there. I thought when that ball was hit, there is no way that Halter's got a shot at him. That is almost like Manny Machado over there at third base. Look at this range in that throw. He is on the foul line. Not only to be able to get your body turned, but get enough on that throw to throw it across the diamond.
To me, that's Nolan Arenado.
Yeah.
Colorado. Thought for sure once his momentum carried him so far to his right that it's going to be a base hit from Fletcher. Dominic's 0 for 2, and he's had 2 outstanding plays made against him.
Yeah, he's thinking, what do I have to do to get a hit?
And then when Ginn faced Kenley back in the second, it looked like Kenley had a line drive headed to right center, but Foscue jumped up and made the leaping catch. So yesterday, the 2 pitching staffs combined to walk 21. Today, 0.
Really changes the pace of the play, doesn't it?
It changes everything.
Defense is on their toes.
Probably shouldn't be surprised that some of the best defensive plays are made today when these guys are very much invested in the pace and tempo and the efforts.
I totally agree. You know, defenses love to have a guy that's not just throwing ball after ball after ball. Again, thought he might have had that one. It was well off the edge of the plate.
This one won't stay fair. Seven in a row set down by JT Ginn.
With 2 strikes, he loves to throw that pitch down out of the zone. Goes up with that breaking ball. Don't think that's where he wanted it.
Pulled the string on Kenley.
Wow, 83 with the straight change. We've just seen Ginn. You see him smile as he came off. He didn't throw that changeup very often. This one was a beauty. Diving down and away from Jack Kenley for out number 3.
Game heads to the top of the 5th. Just a handful of hits so far. Arkansas has won the first 2 games of this series, trying to sweep the second-ranked Bulldogs, and Mississippi State trying to do what Arkansas did last weekend, salvage a game and then get hot again. Skelton, the catcher, leads off against Connor Nolan. Couple of freshmen pitching extremely well here today.
Yeah, both of them have really had command of all their pitches, and especially the breaking ball. And that's the pitch that you always wonder about freshmen.
Time was called before that pitch. The fans all over Michael Banks. In a game last night, from an umpire standpoint, that left a lot to be desired. Thought Banks at first had several plays. We showed whether they were check swings, a play at first that was reviewed that were spot on.
Yeah, he was dialed in yesterday, and so far it looks like his zone has been really good as well. It's not like that high breaking ball that comes in and up above the letters and kind of breaks down into the zone.
I don't know if it's quite sharp enough. Now that one was
Right.
better.
I think it's the right call. I think he's making the right call on those pitches.
I would agree. Skelton struck out back in the second. Just a dribbler towards Jack Kenley. That's 7 in a row set down by Nolan.
Those are the ones that have funky spin that hit right off the cap. And you see Kenley really concentrating on that ball as it's got that side spin as it corkscrews out to him.
Josh Hatcher, the DH. A couple of years ago, taken late in the draft by the Los Angeles Angels. Another play for Kenley, another soft dribbler, another out. 3 straight plays made by Kenley, 8 in a row set down by Nolan.
Kenley's really settled into that second base role really well. Shortstop coming into Arkansas, played some third. Last year was probably scratched in as the third baseman in this season, but Trevor Rizal with that shoulder issue had to play first base and limit those throws. The hard thing about second base is the throwing angle. If you're playing short or third, you throw that ball across the diamond, everything's straight. When you're at second base, everything's at kind of a funky angle, and you have to kind of throw across your body. Some big leaguers even struggle with that throw.
1-1 to Gunnar Halter. Halter made the big-time defensive play at third last inning. Infield base hit in the third on a ball that Martin couldn't come up cleanly with in the hole.
There's some colorful fans here at Baum-Walker Stadium, I'll tell you that.
There was one fan who just said, "You look like John," and I think that was in reference to Brammer, who was the play last night. One thing the fans here do is they know the names of these umpires. They're on a first-name basis. And that one will go foul.
Wow. What a heads-up play by Jacob Nesbitt.
I thought it was going to hit the base.
I did too.
That's worth a smile from Nesbitt. He really had only one play, and that was to let it roll. You don't want to let it keep rolling if it's fair, though, and go down the line. Not sure Halter realizes that ball didn't stay fair. He thought he had himself another infield hit. Easier play for Martin, unloads the throw, and Halter is safe under the tag attempt from Ezel. Casey waited on the big chopper, Troy, and then he really reached back for more, and the throw sailed.
Yeah, the decision, I think, was to go get the baseball. You usually can't go wrong when you're more aggressive, but an infielder's got to pick the right hop. Let's see if Casey could have gotten to that baseball. Maybe, but that's where speed changes that timing. He knew he had to get rid of that ball in a hurry. Halter can really fly down the first base line.
16th error on Martin this season. Turns the lineup over for Mangum, who's been held in check, relatively speaking, this series. 2 for 10, 0 for 2 today. Rolled out to first, grounded to short. 11 walks for Mangum this year. He's able to get to a lot of balls, puts them in play early, and he fouled that one off his foot.
That'll leave a mark.
Mangum will be drafted for the 3rd time after this season is over, if Mississippi State's still playing when they're in Omaha. And it'll be curious to see which team will select him and then begin his path.
Yeah, he's a different type of outfielder, a guy that hits for more contact and power. And you're right, he's a player that definitely has the skill set. It's the question of which ball club is he going to fit into.
Martin will take this himself. Mangum's 0 for 3. Error does not lead to a run. Nolan's cruising today, and we're halfway done. No score from Fayetteville. It's great to see sunshine today. The sun came out a little bit earlier this week, but the temperatures were still in the 50s, and that's the ultimate tease. And today, better get here early on a Saturday morning to stake out some claim, or you're going to be on those bleachers way out there on the hill.
There's a couple bodies out there in the hog pen, and This is one of the few times this season we actually were able to raise the window in the booth. It's normally like either freezing or gale force winds or something, some kind of crazy element.
You say one of the few times. I think it's twice.
Yeah.
And one's for you. Jordan McFarland, the DH, has one of the 2 hits for Arkansas against JT Ginn, who's been outstanding. Set down 8 in a row.
That real deliberate motion, and then that arm swing, when he gets ready to throw that ball, it almost looks like he's a catcher. Kind of has a short arm motion, and then the ball really jumps out of his hand.
Chopper towards Westberg. Plants and throws, and McFarland beat it. He's 2 for 2.
I think Westberg had him until he slipped. He has to field this ball out into the grass. And watch when he makes this plant right here, that foot slips just a little bit, and that allows McFarland to beat that throw. He couldn't get as much on it if he's on dirt and he has a good plant.
2 of the 3 Razorback hits belong to McFarland. Again, we'll face Casey Opitz. McFarland was running. See if Skelton can throw. Okay. Gets it to first.
A hit and run opportunity right there for Opitz, and kind of the same result as a bunt. That was, I think, rolled about 10 feet in front of home plate. The bad thing is you don't get the sacrifice.
Truth. It's just at 0 for 1, and thanks for coming. Jacob Nesbitt steps in. McFarland runs well. A base hit could score the game's first run. Well, he was fooled on that swing.
That's not the only batter that Ginn has made look like that.
And he won't be the last either. Ginn will be eligible, I believe, for the draft next year after his sophomore season. So even though he declined to sign with the Dodgers, it may not be long before he has that decision to make again.
Yeah, that's bad news for Mississippi State fans. They would love to have him for 3 years. But I can guarantee you, he's not going to turn down the money after that sophomore campaign.
Drops that in at the knees.
I think if you're McFarland at third base, you have to be ready for something down in the dirt. They're not really holding him very close. So a strikeout, he may still be able to advance a base.
Up the middle and through. McFarland will turn third. Mangums throws offline, and the Razorbacks strike first.
Mangum with a decent arm in center field, but that ball was hit so softly by Nesbitt, just kind of a seeing eye single right back through the box. And like you said, McFarland runs pretty well for a first baseman. Watch how softly this ball's hit. It's just kind of guided up the middle. And anytime a center fielder, any outfielder gets to the baseball, and if they don't field that ball when that guy hits third base, it is really hard to get a guy at the plate.
Nesbitt held it first on that throw home. Here's Franklin. So after scoring 47 runs in their last 4 games, the Razorbacks get number 1 this afternoon. The bunt and run. Breaking out the bag of tricks is DVH here in the 5th.
Hey, whatever works. look how big the little swinging bunt by Opitz is. Opitz was able to put the bat on the ball and move McFarland up to second base, and then he scores on the base hit. If he swings through that, he might get thrown out at second, and then this is a whole different complexion of this inning. It's the game inside the game, isn't it, Brett?
Especially against a pitcher who's not giving up much as far as walks or hits. Arkansas has 4 singles, 2 of those this inning.
And you also think about, how did McFarland get on base? A great play by Westberg, but his plant foot slips out in the outfield grass, allows him to beat that throw.
Skelton setting up way in. Franklin just poked his bat at that one.
Boy, that is going to have Dave Van Horn come out of the dugout to talk to Franklin about, that was obviously missing the sign.
That was a talking to.
I've watched Dave Van Horn for 17 years, and he was a graduate assistant whenever I played. I don't think I've ever seen him come out in the middle of an at-bat and have a conversation with a player.
Two and two to Christian Franklin.
That was a hanging breaking ball, I think, that Ginn got away with. Up in the zone and away. That's where Franklin likes the pitches. There is a big gap between Mangum in center and McNamee in right. McNamee's really kind of swung around to that right-hand corner. Look at the big hole out there in right center. That's where Franklin likes to hit the ball.
Nesbitt draws the throw at first. Razorbacks scored a run in the 5th and looking for more. Franklin doesn't need to run. He's out. Runner at first. 2 gone in the inning.
Now batting for the Razorbacks, number 4, Trevor Ezel.
That's just 60 pitches for Ginn. So even though Mississippi State has been cautious with him when he had a little soreness a couple of weeks ago, trying to work him back somewhat conservatively, he's been efficient today.
If you're guessing, what do you think? 85, 90 pitches,
that'd
maybe?
be a good number. Make no mistake, though, the Bulldogs want to leave town with a W. We talk so often about it, Troy, in this conference. Teams win a series, they lose a series. The only true outliers are when a team really doesn't have a good weekend, they get swept, or when you can get hot as a team and sweep another club. It's the only thing that moves the standings much.
I agree. And you look at the records around the league, and every team has at least 5 losses up to this point in 17 games. And that says a lot for the league of the balance and the talent and quality just up and down on both divisions.
Trevor Ezel doesn't have a hit in this series. 0 for 2 today.
The thing for Ginn, you look at, he's at pitch number 63 at this point, and he's only had 3 strikeouts. And a guy that came in with 64 strikeouts in 48 innings, I mean, that's a boatload. So that's helped keep that pitch count down. If you're a State fan, then that's a big advantage for him to stay in this game a lot longer.
Down and out. Four strikeouts, no walks for Ginn.
Do you think about starting Nesbitt right here? 5 for 7 in stolen bases. I think Ginn's thinking that. You've seen Dave Van Horn be aggressive in this ball game. I mean, worst thing that happens, you have Trevor Ezell, your leadoff guy, start the next inning.
I feel like Ezell's due for an extra base hit. Hitters count now.
Well, that was a good pitch to go on. Hindsight's 20/20 right there.
Ezell, a patient hitter. He's walked 31 times this season. Mangum, the leadoff hitter for the Dogs, has walked 11. So now Nesbitt will be able to take off on the full count 2-out pitch.
I think Ezell tried to sell that one, kind of make it look like it was inside and act like he was starting that arm motion to throw that bat over into the on-deck circle.
We'll do it again.
You're right, with Nesbitt running at first, anything hit in the gap has got a shot, or even maybe a little blooper. Down either line, might have a chance to score Nesbitt since he's going to be running on the pitch.
Nesbitt's RBI single this inning has put a run on the board. He'll leave early from first here on a payoff to Nesbitt. Allen take it himself to end the inning, but the Razorbacks get a run, put a point up on the board. 5 innings, 1-0 Arkansas. For the first time today, Connor Nolan working with the lead. Slim as it may be, 1-0 as this game heads into the 6th inning. The heart of the lineup awaiting for Mississippi State: Westberg, Allen, and McNamee.
We got a little bit of a shift in the wind. It made me look like it's blowing in from right field now.
Westberg 1 for 2. Takes that big curveball for a strike.
Let's look at that flag. Was blowing out earlier in the ball game. That's where those warm temperatures are coming from.
I mean, it is almost May, for crying out loud. We can break 70 degrees sometime. Martin will charge, take the belt high hop. Took a little off that throw, but retires his counterpart, Westberg.
Going to drop down a little sidearm toss right there by Martin. Maybe keeping that ball from sailing on him. He is aggressive on that one. Goes and gets the baseball. Easy play.
Tanner Allen. That's one of the 3 Bulldog hits. Let's see if Nesbitt has a play. A few rows back into the seats.
Allen with a good night on Thursday night, 2 for 4. He was 0 for 4 in yesterday's ball game. Would love to get a base runner for the Bulldogs.
It is rare to see this offense not clicking on all cylinders. Martin laid out to his right. Second base hit from Tanner Allen. He was up the middle. If he's at his normal shortstop position, that's probably right to him.
I think so. He was kind of taking away that ball up the middle. Look how far up there he's cheating. The ball was hit right on the button. I think off the bat, Martin probably thought he had a chance for it, and then it just got by him in a hurry.
Hit well. Each team now with 4 hits. Probably shouldn't surprise you, Troy. All 4 hits for each team, all 8 in the game have been singles. It's a good home run park, especially where the winds aren't beating balls down. It's been conditions favorable for home runs. And yesterday, each team had a big one. 3 on Thursday. Nothing today.
One of those days it doesn't really look like it's going to be an advantage or disadvantage with the wind. It's just kind of pretty still at this point. Allen's only swiped 1 base. He has a perfect 1-for-1, but I think you're probably going to see him stay put at first base. Nice chance for Arkansas to roll 2.
McNamee struck out, popped up. Down in the count, 0-2.
Nolan's been going with that breaking ball down and away, but I also think he can throw that fastball down and in and maybe get the swing over the top or a ground ball from McNamee.
Big back of the roof without a play.
That was an 0-2 pitch. It caught a little too much of the plate.
McNamee, of course, last year in the Super Regionals had a walk-off home run at Vandy. Really gave a shot in the arm to the Bulldogs as they would win that Supers. And of course, go off to Omaha. It's off the corner. Hit the target where Opid set up, but he set off a few inches off.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's off.
Nolan does get the strikeout, and maybe a pickoff at first. Where was Allen going?
Wow, what a huge play, and you hear this crowd just erupt. I think that's even louder than whenever Nesbitt knocked in McFarland for the lead. The big breaking ball right here by Nolan, but watch Allen at first. I think that was a foul ball before, but Allen was really off on that last play.
Now picked off to end the inning. 5.5 complete. It remains a 1-0 Razorback lead.
Yeah, I feel like they've got a little something going, and something like that happens.
I think Allen didn't realize the ball was in the glove of Opitz. Maybe it squirted behind him.
Possibly.
Casey Martin is not seen Ginn well today. Couple of at-bats, 2 strikeouts. Heart of the lineup for the Hogs here in the 6th. Smoke towards the left field corner. Down for extra bases, and there is the first double of the game. And that's a Casey Martin special.
Well, if you leave something up in the zone, you know he's going to pull it. Ginn has been really sharp at getting that ball down and away from right-handed batters. That one's just up there about letters high, and Jordan had a little bit of trouble with that ball. It didn't quite come off the wall like he thought it was going to, but even if it did, I think Martin's going to have an easy double.
Here's Matt Goodhart. Came into the game the 2nd leading hitter in this conference. He singled and hit a soft liner to 3rd.
You see Westberg playing right behind Martin. There is a huge hole between 3rd and short for Goodhart. Now, his job is to hit the ball to the right-hand side, so that's why they've kind of got that shortstop swung around. But you think that Ginn might throw him away. He's a pitcher that loves to keep the ball away from hitters. Just kind of leads right into that swing of Goodhart.
Down and out. Again, no Kerstead in the lineup today after he was ejected yesterday, so it's one less big bat for Arkansas. Having said that, McFarland's 2 for 2. He scored the run.
McFarland's had a good game so far. It's a couple good at-bats, hit him right back up the middle. It was a good take right there by Goodhart. Again, like we said, he's a strikeout guy. He'd love to see a strikeout right here.
Same pitch. Or at least the same location.
Back-to-back changeups, down and away. So after you're Goodhart, you have to kind of bring that ball up into the zone. The guy that's very effective with off-speed stuff below those knees. He's a big swing and miss type of pitcher.
Goodhart leads this conference in on-base percentage, and he takes his walk, and there's a couple of Hawks on base.
Now batting for the Razorbacks, number 24, Dominic Fletcher.
So now if you're Dave Van Horn, you've got all kinds of opportunities right here. You can bunt Fletcher, and that's going to bring out head coach Chris Lemonis to come talk to his right-hander. You can see he wasn't very happy when he realized that Lemonis was coming out of the dugout. He wants to stay in there. You know, he's got a lot of fight in him.
He's going to make that call to the bullpen here. So JT Ginn was outstanding at times today. 74 pitches, and they'll go to the bullpen. Left-hander coming in. Will step out. Hogs in business. Couple of runners on base in the bottom of the 6th. Left-hander Tristan Barlow summoned out of the bullpen for Mississippi State.
Barlow's got some pretty good numbers. 17 1/3 innings pitched on the season. 24 strikeouts, only 1 walk.
Amazing.
That is something else. An ERA of 1.56. Opponents only hitting .212 against the left-hander.
He comes into this game with a couple of runners on base, nobody out in the bottom of the 6th, and back-to-back lefties due up in Fletcher and Kenley. Paul's Tennessee native is Tristan Barlow. Redshirt junior.
One thing that's interesting, Brett, is 16 appearances. He's only thrown 17 1/3 innings, so almost kind of like a Matt Cronin type guy that comes in for an inning, kind of a specialist against lefties. And let's see how long that head coach Chris Lemonis goes with Barlow.
Said 1 2-inning stint. That was against Tennessee. Otherwise, no more than about an inning and a third.
I think you have to let Fletcher hit right here, especially with Kerstad not hitting behind him. If you're Dave Van Horn, you want to try to put a crooked number up on the board.
Fletcher went to stab at it, takes a strike.
He was really late showing bunt right there. And Halter, the third baseman, he was in on the edge of the grass. Barlow's going to sit about 91, 92 at that fastball.
Strike called. This is not started in the manner that Fletcher would have liked, but for Barlow, he's jumped ahead quickly. Martin, the runner at second, Goodhart at first. They are the responsibility of JT Ginn. Boy, good pick by Skelton.
Wow. That was an amazing stop by Skelton.
It's a hard, tough hop.
To go from being in the crouch or the squat to be able to spring to your left.
Runners were at second and third, nobody out. It would change everything this inning.
Defensively, Mississippi State has really given themselves a chance to win this ball game.
Fletcher offered it a high one.
Little things like that play right there. We've talked about the catch that Mangum had off Fletcher in the first inning. The line drive that Foscue speared. Start off another inning. I mean, that's what you have to do. You have to make those little plays. Can't let any good club get too far in front of you.
Barlow's going to rub down that baseball.
Westberg, the shortstop, has really been playing behind Martin. Nobody's really holding Casey on. I know you're not really going to attempt to steal with no outs, but he can get a huge secondary lead out there.
Allen far off the base. Foot race. Won by Barlow. Good efforts to get that first down.
Boy, it did its job. A nice play by Allen and a really good job by Barlow to get over there and cover that bag. That looked like it had trouble written all over it, especially when that ball has got Allen is moving away. He set himself, almost threw that ball a little high, but Barlow kind of saved him.
You know, it's interesting. A left-hander falls off. It's a bit of a different path, and a lot of times those pitchers will get to the line and go parallel with it. Barlow just went straight across.
I don't think he had time to.
He did not.
But you're exactly right. That's how you teach him. You kind of run almost toward your own dugout and then run parallel, and that's why you don't have a collision with the base runner.
Infield in, Kenley the batter. Kenley 0 for his last 6 in these last 2 games with 4 strikeouts, and you know Barlow wants to get one here.
We talked about those 24 strikeouts in that 17 and a third innings coming into here. So anytime you're up over a strikeout an inning, it's got success written all over it.
Not close.
The other thing this does, obviously, to have the infield in, it allows Goodhart at second base to get a giant lead out there. There is nobody in front of him, or excuse me, behind him to sneak in behind. So as that pitch goes, you can go as far as that shortstop is in front of you. Makes it really tough for an outfielder to try to cut that run down on a base hit.
3-0. Right-hander and a switch hitter on deck for Arkansas, so this is not a sequence where Barlow wants to just lose Kenley, even though it would reinstate the possibility of a double play.
A long set of signs by Dave Van Horn to Jack Kinley right there.
Finds the mark, 3-1. Big exhale. Coach Van Horn, big point in this game really for both teams. Arkansas going for the sweep, but they'd like to add on to a brief 1-0 lead. And the bases are full of Hogs.
Yeah, really good at-bat by Jack Kinley. Those are some huge sweeping breaking balls by Barlow.
Problem was they weren't close.
Yeah, you're right. He started them on the outside corner and broke them off the plate. You got to start that down the middle and kind of have an opportunity that makes it look like it's going to be a strike. So far in this game, Jordan McFarland's been the man.
In case you're curious, McFarland has not hit a home run this year, but he has 2 hits today, and he has scored the lone run.
So Mississippi State's going to play up the middle, back for the double play, and in on the corners.
Cut right through a 94-mile-an-hour toss.
Had some giddy up by Barlow.
Juice. Martin, Goodhart, and Kenley, the 3 base runners for Arkansas. A lot of traffic on the bases.
With good speed at each base for Arkansas, and especially with Martin at third base, you think anything that's not just a pop-up right behind the infield, he's going to score on a fly ball.
McFarland did have a grand slam last year against Kent State. Finds himself behind in the count now. A double, a walk, and another walk to load him up. And the Hogs have a 2-0 lead the hard way. Martin will score, and the bases loaded, hit by pitch.
That's the only disadvantage of trying to come inside with 2 strikes, is drilling that batter, and McFarland had no chance to get out of that one. That was about a 94-mile-an-hour fastball right at the middle of his back.
McFarland ended up spiking the ball on his way to first. Picked it up.
That's a tough way to get an RBI.
Yeah, it's even tougher for Barlow. He had worked himself in a position maybe to get a big sack it out. Now Opitz the batter.
And the thing about Opitz is he is a very patient hitter. He's not afraid to take that bases loaded walk.
Beer hats are out. Fans wear those when the bases are loaded. Felt like they were on all last night.
It was quite often, wasn't it?
High strike given to Barlow. He needed that one. That's a whole section where the beer hats. A lot of obstructed view seats.
It's almost having like a little mini umbrella in front of you.
Well, yeah, it's not ideal if you're behind those fans. Saw one fan come through the gates today. He had his beer hat and a giant broom.
He was ready, wasn't he? Barlow kind of in the same spot he was against McFarland.
Same count, 1-2 when he hit him.
Well, you know he's got the big breaking ball, but you just stick with that fastball. You've got Opitz, the 7-hole hitter today. Guy that doesn't have a lot of power, You do want the strikeout, but
Do you elevate here?
I think you do. I just really don't want to bounce anything and give the opportunity of the ball to scoot past the catcher.
On the ground to third, and Halter couldn't make the play. And 2 runs will come across. Was Halter looking to come home maybe? Rather than the double play around the horn?
I mean, he got caught in between a short hop, and I think that's what he tried to do is get that ball on the short hop. But you see, he didn't move his feet. When that ball was hit, he just kind of froze. I think if he takes a step up, he gets an easier short hop. And he might have a chance to turn too, because that is Opitz running. The guy that's not most fleet of foot in the Arkansas lineup. They call that a hit or an error?
It's got to be an error, but it also should be an RBI.
Right at him.
3 runs home this inning on 1 hit. And Nesbitt the batter.
Well, one of those runs was a walk. They usually come back to haunt you.
2 of them today. 8 of those runs Arkansas scored yesterday were men who were put on base with a free pass. In the air, hit well, deep left field. Goodbye.
Jacob Nesbitt got all of that one. That's only his 2nd home run on the year, but what a big time, what a huge blow for Arkansas. It didn't get out by much, but just enough. And Arkansas has blown this thing open.
This was a 1-0 game heading into the bottom of the 6th inning. Here's Christian Franklin. Arkansas has outscored the number 2 team in the country 23-8 this weekend. For Nesbitt, just his 2nd long ball of the season in his collegiate career.
Well, it couldn't come at a better time for Arkansas fans. There's still a lot of baseball left to be played, and this Mississippi State team can score some runs in a hurry. That was a tough blow.
And there's nobody throwing in the bullpen right now, Troy. This is Barlow's inning for the time being to complete.
We had 2 walks in this inning and a hit by pitch and an E5.
Yes, that's a recipe for ugliness. And all of a sudden the pitches have started to miss. Third walk this inning. And the 9th Razorback will come to the plate here in the 6th.
And there's somebody now in the bullpen for Texas A&M. We kind of talked about Barlow, kind of a 1-inning guy. It's up to 25 pitches in this inning so far. 12 strikes and 13 balls.
Trevor Ezell is 0 for 3. Well, for Mississippi State, they're just trying to stop the bleeding this inning. And, you know, you were kept looking into that dugout trying to see if Lemonis or Foxhall would make their way out there. And here comes the pitching coach.
I think this is twofold. Allow to try to settle down his left-hander, but also give the bullpen a little extra time to get loose. I mean, 7 runs is not an easy score to come back from, but you definitely cannot let it get any worse if you're Mississippi State.
Activity resumes in the Bulldogs bullpen. Liebelt is the right-hander. Arkansas scored a run in the bottom of the 5th on an infield single. Little dribbler ground ball and a roller up the middle by Nesbitt. Well, they've tacked on 6 runs this frame, and again, there's only 1 out. Franklin runs. Is this ball going to stay fair? Yes, Ezel with the base hit. Franklin never stopped. He's going to score from first easily.
What a perfect hit and run right there. Tell you what, Dave Van Horn is one of the best in the business, and what a call right there to start Franklin on the steal, and then the hit and run by Ezel just hit that ball right down the line. See Franklin hesitate just for a second as he hit second base, and then Nate Thompson wasn't even thinking twice about sending him. Scoring from first, what a big blow again for Arkansas.
Chris Lemonis now on his way out to the mound to make a pitching change. Wants to bring on the right-hander. 7 runs have scored this inning, and still just 1 out. We'll step out as well. Come back with a new Mississippi State pitcher in a moment. Right-hander Jared Liebelt becomes the 3rd pitcher used by the Dogs today.
And the numbers on Liebelt, 26 1/3 innings, 20 strikeouts. Again, great control, only 3 walks. 2.73 ERA, and opponents hitting .224 off the right-hander. Kind of a 3/4 arm slot, so he's going to have a good little tail with the fastball and a sweeping breaking ball.
Casey Martin started this inning with a double. Bats again for the 2nd time against the senior from Aurora, Illinois, Jared Liebelt. Three hits this inning, have plated 7 runs, but the 3 hits have all been for extra bases.
Well, you look at it on the scoreboard, Arkansas has 8 runs on 7 hits. So it tells you there's been some free base runners put on there.
Will it drop in right? It does in front of McNamee. He's held to 3rd. He'll hold up. A couple of hits this inning alone for Martin. Casey using right field more often. It's something they've worked on the better part of the last 2 weeks, an opposite field approach.
Yeah, I think he's just letting that ball travel in a little bit deeper, trusting his hands. I had a conversation with him yesterday, and he was just sitting there going, yeah, you know what, I've got quick hands, I just need to trust him. I don't think he was being arrogant, he was just trying to state a fact.
Well, his hand's as quick as anybody's. Here's Goodhart. He walked earlier this inning. That's 1 for 2 with the run scored. This is off the corner.
So when things are going your way, hits like that start falling. Kind of a fister by Ezel that blooped down the right field line. And a lazy fly ball or base hit out to right field for Martin. You know, Dave Van Horn's had the stopwatch out on the pitcher, and I think that's what he was thinking. Make sure he's keeping him close. If you don't get that ball to the plate in about 1.3, 1.4 seconds as a pitcher, you're not really giving your catcher a chance to throw a base runner out.
Good pitch.
You start Martin right here.
I don't think I'm much inclined to do that. Right now, whether it's been the walks, the errors, or the hits, haven't needed to do much.
You got a full count right here. It keeps you out of the double play, and I would not be surprised if Casey didn't take off.
Here's the payoff. Right to Foscue. A run will score. Goodhart gets an RBI. Martin was moving, but it's now a 9-0 game.
Yeah, that was an easy double play for Foscue and Westberg, and with Martin running, when Foscue fields that ball, Martin's like 5 feet from second base. That allows Ezel just to stroll on in for run number 9.
Dominic Fletcher grounded out earlier this inning. For the first 10 batters, he made the only out. Is he going to make 2 this inning? Foscue throws out Fletcher. Rough inning for Dom, good inning for the Hogs. They get 8 runs. Blow this game open as we go to the 7th.
Well, fans, that was an eventful winning inning. We have a lot of Slim Chickens to give away. Let's get to it. A $20 gift card to the person in section 106. Row Q, seat 20.
Last Saturday, Connor Nolan lasted 15 pitches. Didn't get an out. Vanderbilt clobbered Arkansas. So he came back Tuesday, pitched 2 innings to kind of get him back on track. He was given the win against UAPB, and now he's cruised through 6 innings. He's in line to get a second win of the week, and an 8-run 6th didn't hurt his cause a bit.
Not a bit at all. And how big is it for Arkansas for Nolan to go this deep in the ball game? They have not used Jacob Kostichak yet. He is already starting to throw and get a little bit loose down the bullpen. Arkansas fans know he's been out for the past 2 weeks with a little tenderness in his elbow. That is big for Arkansas to get him back. That's a guy that's a 94 to 96 from a 3/4 arm slide out of the bullpen.
Heating it up now. Nice backhand by Nesbitt near the back, behind the base, and throws out Foscue.
Just kind of how it's gone for State right there. Just can't find a hole.
Rowdy Jordan, next man in. Couple of ground outs on his ledger. 4 hits today for the Bulldogs. They've been outscored as Mississippi State 25-8 this weekend.
It was pitch number 80 for Connor Nolan.
Kenley's had a lot of those soft ground balls today. 2 gone.
Now batting, number 8, Dustin Skelton.
Skelton is 0 for 2.
I think the big thing for Connor Nolan is just coming and just filling up the strike zone.
Where'd that come from?
In the gap. Franklin on the move. Run that ball down. Inefficient and perfect top of the 7th for Connor Nolan. Stretch time at Baum-Walker Stadium. The Hogs going for the sweep today over States. Fans are all stretched out. Having a good time in the Hog Pen today. A crowd of 11,087. Even those bleachers way out there. Fort Smith just about occupied.
You're in a different zip code out there, aren't you?
Long way.
You better have some binoculars or some 20/20 vision or something.
Saw a free Heston sign out there on the Hog Pen.
Oh, you got to love that.
You know, that was probably the one concern as far as Arkansas's offense. Going up against an outstanding pitcher again and not having Kerstead available. Would runs be tough to come by? Well, they were through 4 innings, no runs, or through 5. Arkansas got a run in the 5th and then put 8 on the board last inning.
Well, that was an inning that you felt like that Mississippi State just kind of let that get away. It started with the double by Martin, a walk. There's another walk hit by pitch, E5. There's some opportunities to get out of that inning.
Back-to-back bases loaded, hit by pitch to McFarland, and the air when Opitz rolled one under the glove of Halter. Really just kick-started that inning. 0-2 to Kenley. Liebolt back out there to work. Little flare, it'll find some green and a base hit to begin the 7th inning.
When it rains, it pours, and that's what happens when teams are seeing the ball big. Balls that aren't barreled up even find holes.
So Jordan McFarland today, Troy, 2 singles, hit by a pitch, RBI, 2-run score.
Yeah, he's been a nice addition for this Arkansas lineup. A guy that's been really scuffling in his junior year, and hopefully that might be the breakout that Arkansas fans have been waiting for.
You could see where Jordan might be able to get in there for a game or two then against Northwestern State and start to see pitching in multiple games.
And that's key. If it's really tough to sit out for a week or two and then get inserted into the lineup.
Good pitch from Liebolt to jump ahead 0-2. Knocked down by Liebolt. He has one play. Retires McFarland at first.
And Jordan has hit everything right back up the middle. That's 3 out of 3 hitting balls right back through the box.
It's an 0-2 breaking ball.
Yeah. Good quality at bats for Jordan. Liebolt just glad he got his glove on that pitch. I was thinking it was kind of one of those excuse me line drives that just kind of, but his hitting the right spot.
It was a heat seeker. Casey Opitz hit the roller that Halter was trying to scoop and maybe get a double play in some fashion or come home for a force. Went under his glove, a couple of runs scored, and the wheels were in motion. And that'll find the gap in left center. Kenley got a late break. He'll still be waved in and score the 10th Arkansas run of the game. RBI single for Opitz.
How about Casey Opitz the last 2 weekends? A guy that was hovering around 210 and has really had some big plate appearances. That's just a quality at bat, and that line drive to left center field. You see Mangum trying to cut that ball off. It's really tough for that left-hander to try to come across his body and make a good throw to the plate.
Nesbitt hit his second home run of the season. 3-run shot an inning ago. Sent one out there to left center. His other home run, I believe, was at Alabama. Had an RBI single in the 5th way back when, 2 innings ago, that broke up a scoreless game. 32 RBIs now for Jacob.
He's really stepped in as a redshirt freshman. Again, we probably mentioned it before, but I asked Dave Van Horn, who's been the biggest surprise on this ball club, and he said Jacob Nesbitt. He said he knew he had it in him. He just didn't know if it would translate from practices and scrimmage games into game situations. Well, it sure has.
Yeah, this soon. That's the qualifier. A little bit like Casey Martin last year. To get in the lineup, you're asked to play a position that's somewhat foreign. I mean, you're an infielder, right? You play short, you can handle third, but it isn't always that easy.
Yeah, it's been tough. He's made some outstanding plays over there at third base. Very solid. Anytime you can insert a freshman in the infield and he's not a liability, that's a plus.
10 runs, 10 hits today for Arkansas. Did he check? He did. Quick appeal, no swing.
But Dustin Skelton is just outstanding behind the plate. There were back-to-back blocks and pitches that weren't even close to the strike zone. And
suppose he's still feeling that shoulder when that ball hit him early?
I'm sure he is. You see that little bit of pad up there? It just must have missed it.
And Nesbitt, I got a piece. Thought he was down on strikes, got just a piece. Stay alive.
Liebelt has that sweeping breaking ball. Almost kind of reminds me of Cody Scroggins in that 3/4 arm slot. Really gets on the side of the baseball and gets a lot of horizontal break away from those right-handed batters.
I can see it. Very compact. Can the Dogs get 2? There's 1, and the double play will end the 7th. Arkansas tacks on another run. It's a 10-0 lead through 7 innings.
The RBI girls and Libby.
Look who's back to work in the top of the 8th, Troy.
A little surprised, but Connor Nolan, he only has in the low 80s, maybe 81, 82 pitches.
83, good guess.
And it was a really easy inning last inning. I mean, single-digit pitches. The other thought process is, Jacob Kostychuk's going to come in and throw an inning, and maybe Arkansas only wanted him to throw 1 and not 2. The only thing I was surprised at is that Nolan did throw on Tuesday, but he only threw 2 innings, and that's about how many pitches you throw in a bullpen.
And with Scroggins being out multiple weeks, Nolan will be in that rotation, or so you would think, next weekend when Tennessee comes to town. Hatcher the batter.
Here's something else to think about. You've got 2 midweek games this week. So if you're thinking about, well, why don't we just give somebody an inning? Well, if you just don't even have to warm them up, then you're going to have a lot of arms to get through 2 ball games.
Franklin puts it away. This was the upcoming week, maybe a couple of weeks back, that Dave Van Horn threatened to pitch Fletcher midweek. Now, I don't know if that's ever made its way to Dominic, but he was just, I think, you never know, thinking that he was joking a bit in the sense that, you're right, this late in the year to have 2 midweek games and have to cobble together 18 innings or so is not ideal.
If you hope that Nolan only has to go maybe 10, 12 pitches. That was pitch number 88 right there.
Marshall Gilbert is the pinch hitter. 15 hits, a 306 average for Gilbert. Kenosha, Wisconsin. Another strikeout from Connor Nolan. It's his 5th.
I think that's what Dave Van Horn wanted to do. He wanted to let Connor Nolan get the accolades of being able to come off this field. Listen to the Arkansas fans.
Nice ovation from his teammates as well. 7 2/3 innings of 4 hits, scoreless baseball, and not a single walk.
That's all you can ask for if you're pitching coach Matt Hobbs or Dave Van Horn. Just an outstanding job and a huge bounce back weekend for him. Like you said, just a weekend to go. He threw 14 pitches. Didn't get an out.
You know, Troy, your season can tilt one way or another. I mean, you can take that and be frustrated and worry about losing your spot of the rotation, or you can fight through it, and probably no surprise that the football player Nolan, with that determination, chose the latter. So a lot of handshakes for Connor Nolan, even a few hugs in that Arkansas dugout. And he'll finish with 89 pitches, but 60 of those were strikes.
Yeah, he was filling up the zone. He really had both the fastball and the breaking ball. If he threw a changeup, you could probably count him on one hand. And you've got Kostichuk, who hadn't thrown in 2 weeks. He can really light up the radar gun. He'll sit 94 to 96. Looks like he's been a little amped up. He is throwing a couple to the backstop already.
You know, first of all, it was good news when Kostichuk pitched through some soreness that Arkansas was able to catch it. You know, there's always these stories about somebody coming off the mound, his arm hurts, maybe didn't tell somebody right away, and then the worst becomes a reality. But if you could sit a guy for a couple of weeks, let that calm down, and then have him available again, you feel like you've dodged a mini disaster.
Oh, I think so. And this is a young Arkansas pitching staff, and you need guys like a junior and Jacob Kostichuk to be on that mound and be big out of the bullpen. I think the difference between just confidence for Kostichuk this season. Last season he had the stuff. It's electric, there's no doubt about it, but he just couldn't find the strike zone. Just kind of let that game slow down just a little bit for him.
See if he has to go an inning and a third, or what the plan is for Kostichuk. You have a little bit of margin of error here to work with a 10-0 lead. Lineup turned over for Mangum, who's 0 for 3, and Troy, he's 2 for 11 in this series.
Yeah, that's just not Jake Mangum-like. Thinking about what they're going to do with Kostichuk, Zebulon Vermillion is down in the bullpen, so what you might do is let Kostichuk go an out here and maybe another out in the 9th, and then you bring in Vermillion if you just wanted to get Vermillion some work.
I'll say this, I don't think I'd heat him up unless I wanted to bring him in.
Exactly. He's down there just kind of throwing the weighted ball against the padded wall. 97.
Hello.
That's big league stuff right there. Did you see that? Opitz throws the ball back to him. Kostichuk had taken his glove off his hand and just spears it with his left hand barehanded. And just kind of laughs at Opitz going, did you not see me not have my glove on my hand?
At least he used his left hand.
Yeah, he did.
Mangum's average of 385, came in above 400. He will not set the hit record this weekend. Hopefully he'll get a chance to do it at home, and best wishes to him going forward. There have been a lot of amazing players in this conference over the last several years who have not done what he has. And even, Troy, you think about, I think there's been 25 players in the SEC that have had 300 hits. 5 of those 25 have been Bulldogs.
Wow, that's impressive.
And Jim Ellis, the radio voice of Mississippi State, who's been there 41 years, still calling games, has had a chance to see a lot of those guys.
You see Mississippi State hitters kind of pound their chest with 2 strikes. I think that's the reminder of the 2-strike approach that they want to have.
Christian Franklin has been busy. Mangum will finish 0 for 4, and this game goes to the bottom of the 8th. Nolan's day is done. Kostychak the final out. It's been all Hogs this afternoon. So Arkansas trying to finish off a sweep of Mississippi State. Tennessee will be here next weekend. Christian Franklin 0 for 2 with a walk. For the Bulldogs, next weekend they will be home to take on Georgia, so it doesn't get any easier either for them.
No, that team is loaded. We've talked about what they did a couple seasons ago, starting 7 freshmen here in Fayetteville. And all that experience is really translated over to this season.
Home run swing from Christian Franklin.
Hey, you're up 10. You know, why not? Lee White's just coming in throwing gas. 93 on that last fastball.
For Arkansas, victory today will give them 30. Mississippi State was the first team to 30 in D1 baseball, and they're at 32. It would also improve the Hogs to 12-6 in conference play. Texas A&M, yesterday they were postponed at South Carolina. Try and play a couple games today.
Put some extra pressure on you if you're A&M.
You know what it does, Troy, though? If those teams would split, as Franklin is disposed of, Arkansas would be in first place then in that West, all to their lonesome.
Number 4, Trevor Ezel.
And should Georgia lose today, and they're trying to sweep Missouri, if Georgia would lose, Arkansas and Georgia would have the best records in the league, the same mark. And that means there would not be a team in this conference with fewer than 6 losses.
That's incredible. That's a big statement. And for Georgia to beat TJ Sycamore, usually the Tigers' Saturday starter, that's a tough task.
Trevor Ezel had a bloop double in his last at bat, 1 for 4 in the game. So Ezel 6 hits away from 300 in his career. Fans are all over Michael Banks again. Coming after.
It's 10-0, and they don't back down, do they?
Yeah, they don't want anything expanded from a strike zone standpoint, at least when their hitters are up. Today around the conference, LSU, they were hammered by Florida. game one of that series in Baton Rouge. They pounded the Bulldogs, or the Gators, I should say, yesterday, and they're leading 11-2 in this 7th inning. So that's a nice bounce back for LSU.
Well, it really was. What were they down 12-0 or 12-1 at one time in that first ball game? It was ugly.
And Troy, South Carolina did defeat Texas A&M in game one 3-2. A&M leading in the nightcap. That's 4-1 in the 5th inning in Columbia. So things are breaking the way Arkansas would hope. Took 10 innings for Auburn to defeat Ole Miss 6-5. Also to win that series. Tennessee over Kentucky 8-2. This one will be backing out of play. Georgia did win. They defeated Missouri 4-2. So that means Georgia has the best record in the league at 13-5. Arkansas trying to improve to 12-6.
Well, I think they've got a little bit of an advantage playing in the Eastern Division. Just not quite as stacked as the West. No offense to the people in the East, but just facts are facts.
Vanderbilt and Alabama play tonight. Counts full to Ezel. He'll take another walk.
Pretty tough pitch to take right there.
Pretty good to me.
Now batting for the Razorbacks, number 15, Casey Tartu.
32nd walk of the season for Ezel.
Kind of a bounce back day for Martin. You come up, you get punched out in your first 2 plate appearances. It's amazing what happens when you gotta settle down and not expand that strike zone, then a double and a single in his last 2 at-bats.
His average flirting with 300 again, and it wasn't that long ago. Coach Van Horn said it felt like Casey was trying to get 3 hits in every at-bat. He was batting .260 back on the final day of March. So trying to raise that average about 40 points when it's a little bit more difficult to do so with just the number of games and ABs.
Okay, you have to refresh my memory, but there was a time when I think it was Martin, Kerstad, and Fletcher were all hitting 250.
250.
Yeah, that was an ugly stretch for those 3.
It's back on March the 9th against La Tech. 3-pitch K though here. Battle won by Colby White. His 2nd K of this inning.
Now batting for the Razorbacks, number 10, Matt Goodhart.
Matt Goodhart got a hit in his first at bat. He's lined out, walked, and grounded out since. The ground out produced an RBI in that big 6th inning, an 8-run frame. Fastball 92.
Yeah, some good late life on that fastball. It just kind of exploded about halfway between the mound and the plate.
He's out at first with 2 outs. Pulled the string. Floated that one in there.
Really good changeup right there by White.
Real good one. Boy, that got the bat just above the hands, I believe.
Was that the knob? Either the knob or I think it was the knob.
It didn't sound like the bat, but I was just watching the hands, hoping that Goodhart wasn't going to be shaking those. Nobody ever wants to take one off the knuckles or with that bat, hands wrapped around the bat. Rip and a miss. 3 Ks from White in the 8th inning. Sends us to the 9th. Hogs 3 outs away from the sweep. Several brooms.
Then if you're State, you get to face Jacob Kostychak. That's no picnic.
Westberg, and then Allen and McNamee, barring some pinch hitters. Westberg has one of the 4 singles today for State. Mississippi State has had the lead for 1 full inning in the 3 games. That's it. Play for Goodhart, still coming in.
I think it's a ball that Kinley gave up on really early.
Kostychak will look at Tanner Allen.
Well, Heston Kerstad chant starting up in the hog pen.
Saw a few free Heston signs out there today. He hasn't been held hostage. He'll be back. Allen has 2 of the 4 hits today for the Bulldogs. But for Arkansas now, Troy, with their 10-run output without Heston, that's 57 runs in the last 5 games.
That's been impressive.
4 of those 5 games against top 5 teams in the country. Ball just foul. Hey, Gregson at first base emphatically pointing foul.
That just kind of epitomizes how this game has gone for the Bulldogs. You hit one on the screws and you can't keep it between the lines.
You know, last year when they went to Starkville, Bulldogs hadn't heated up yet, and that dribbler will go foul. Arkansas went down there and they got swept. And keep in mind, Blaine Knight was 14-0. They had the big lead on Friday night. Mississippi State came back and won the game, even though Knight didn't lose it. It was a doubleheader the next day, and Super Bulldog weekend and all that. And State put it to the Hogs, and feels like Arkansas has returned the favor this time.
Yeah, I think so. I'll tell you, these athletes, they've got long memories. They definitely know what happened in Starkville last year.
Now the question is, will these teams meet again? SEC tournament in Hoover, or could they meet beyond that in the postseason? Both have a great chance to be a national seed. For Mississippi State, if they go home and play well against Georgia, that'll bolster their candidacy again. And for Arkansas, sweeping 3 games against Mississippi State's got to bump them up multiple spots in the rankings.
I definitely think so. It's always a lot easier winning on your home turf, but those are 3 big wins for Arkansas.
Three balls and 2 strikes. And a walk. So Allen on his way to first. The 9th inning rolls on. Kostychak will look at McNamee.
Probably down and in. It was close.
It missed, yep.
Again, but Opitz makes things look a little bit better than they are. Ezel obviously going to play behind the runner at first base.
Hayden Jones will pinch it here. Indiana native is Jones. Ezel's just going to back out of our picture right there, not even bothering to hold on him.
I think if you're Allen, you got to take second base. If Arkansas is going to give it to you, get about that 30-foot lead and take off.
Base hit right field by Jones. First time the Bulldogs have had a runner in scoring position since the 3rd.
Now batting number 17, Justin Foscue.
Just a really good short stroke by the pinch hitter Jones. It's going to bring Vermillion up in the bullpen.
He's been throwing a little bit off and on here in the ninth. Foscue hit a 3-run homer in the 5th inning yesterday. A shot above the bullpen into the seats. Made it a 7-5 game. And since that point, Arkansas has outscored Mississippi State 15-0 since that home run.
Yeah, you thought that thing was really going to turn it around for State in yesterday's ball game. It really kind of made it a nail-biter there for a little while.
It did. And it was complicated by Arkansas leaving 15 runners on base in the game. Opitz will pay a visit to the mound as Kostiuszak follow behind 2-0 as the Z-Man continues to throw, and you can now see a scenario where he may enter to face a batter or two.
You have to think that Kostiuszak hadn't thrown in a couple weeks, at least in the game situation. Looks like he's kind of trying to overthrow just a little bit.
Pitch had some run on it.
I think Foscue was taken, obviously, right there, but, well, you're right. That really ran in on him.
Boy, yanked that pitch right into the shadows. Even when it's 10-0, those last couple of outs aren't easy to get.
Cronin in the Thursday night game made it interesting. Had to get some traffic on the bases before he was able to close things out.
That'll be back over the roof. And a run on top of our heads.
I feel like a cannon going off right above
Goodness.
us.
Couple of runners in scoring position and a 3-2. Bases are loaded. And Coach Van Horn has seen enough. He'll end the day for Kostiuszak and go to the bullpen. So we'll step aside here in the top of the 9th inning. Mississippi State trying to get on the board and more. They'll have to do so against a new pitcher back after this. That tall drink of water is the Z-Man, Zebulon Vermillion.
Vermillion out of the greater Kansas City area.
Inherits a bases loaded, 1-out scenario in the 9th, and Rowdy Jordan is the batter. Hard hit and through for a base hit, the first run in the first couple of runs for the Bulldogs on a 2-run single. 10-2 game. That didn't take long.
No, it did not. And you really want to put this thing away if you're Arkansas. Just a really good piece of hitting. I love Jordan's aggressiveness. Come in. You know you're going to get a fastball right down the dish, and he nailed it right back through the box.
16th appearance for Vermillion, 19 innings of work.
Another pinch hitter, Landon Jordan, coming in the ball game right here.
$13 hits and 8 runs batted in for Jordan. Pinch hit of the 9th inning yesterday and reached on an air by Casey Martin.
Arkansas would love a ground ball right here and just get this thing done.
It's been 10 minutes since Arkansas has recorded an out after the first batter, Westberg, flied out to Goodhart.
97 by Vermillion. I think the gun might be a little hot today.
First time it's been above 50 in weeks. Temperature-wise, maybe that heated it up. 1-2, the count to the pinch hitter.
Just overthrew that breaking ball. It's kind of spun out of the back of his hand.
Couldn't land that one either.
A little surprised he went back with the breaking ball after missing so poorly with the one before.
Sometimes you just try and find it when you go back to back like that. Jones, or Jordan, I should say, may have chased ball 4. After Westbrook was retired, walk, single. Walk, pitching change, single.
Really good at bat for the pinch hitter, Jordan. A lot of times when you foul a couple of balls like that off and you've got a full count, you're going to draw that walk.
And another walk.
Just felt it coming.
Bit of an ugly end for what has been a pretty well played game for Arkansas to this point.
Now batting number 20, Luke Hancock.
And it's not as if Arkansas is running in some arms of guys that just need to throw. And these are your setup guys, along with Copps, who was really good yesterday. In fact, Kevin got the win as third.
Luke Hancock, the pinch hitter right here.
Coach Lemonis using his entire travel roster here late in this game. Matt Cronin is throwing the weighted ball in the bullpen. And that was a scenario that I think maybe as recently as about 3 minutes ago we didn't think was going to take place.
I'm surprised. I don't know if he even had his spikes on at that time. He might have had to throw his spikes on in a hurry.
Ball in the gap, and it's a 10-5 game, and all of a sudden Cronin will probably jump up on that mound.
You're exactly right. Well, they would really not like to use him, and you really hate that he has to even get up and throw.
2 outs on the K.
We might slow it down just a bit now. We also have Marshall Denton going down to the bullpen.
It's a letter high fastball.
Now batting number 34, Marshall Gilbert.
Marshall Gilbert is the last man in, or I'm sure Vermillion would like to think in those terms. Otherwise, Mangum's on deck again. We thought he was done for the series. He could bat if Gilbert prolongs the game. Gilbert pinch hit last inning. One and one.
Vermillion really gets some tilt on that fastball. It's some high release arm angle, and looks like he's throwing downhill and everything.
This could do it. Who wants it? Who else? Fletcher down to a knee. Game over. And the Razorbacks have swept the second-ranked Bulldogs, winning today 10-2.
That is a gigantic weekend for Arkansas, and beat a very good Mississippi State team, and that is really going to propel the Hogs throughout the rest of this season, Brett.
Big weekend indeed for the Razorbacks. Yesterday it was a 12-5 win. Today a 10-2 victory. Jacob Nesbitt right in the middle of things, had 4 runs batted in and a 3-run homer. And it was Arkansas using an 8-run 6th inning to blow this game open. Arkansas will be back home for 2 midweek games. Tuesday, Northwestern State here